with the perspectives and visions that Japan and the United States should pursue. What should we do to advance the national interests of both of our countries in synergy and to realize peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific? I am convinced that the answer lies in further strengthening the strong and unwavering Japan-US alliance to achieve a free and open Indo-Pacific. President and I concurred to strengthen the deterrence and response capabilities of the alliance and to work closely in addressing strategic challenges that both countries are facing in this region. I conveyed to the President that Japan, as an ally of the United States, is ready to share responsibilities and to play its own role. I also reiterated Japan's unwavering commitment to fundamentally reinforcing its defense capabilities, and we confirmed the unwavering commitment by the United States to the defense of Japan. We reaffirmed that Article 5 of the Japan-US Treaty of Mutual Cooperation and Security applies to the Senkaku Islands, with half of the world's population and approximately 60% of the world's GDP. The Indo-Pacific serves as the engine of growth and vitality for Japan, the United States, and the world. President and I also concurred that the United States and Japan will make further efforts in a wide range of areas, working hand in hand together to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific. In this context, we also concurred to further advance cooperation of the multi-layered networks of the like-minded countries, including the Quad and trilateral cooperation with the Republic of Korea and the Philippines. We also discussed Japan-United States cooperation to bring about growth and prosperity. Economic cooperation, including on economic security, is important from the perspective of strengthening alliance cooperation. Japan is the closest economic partner of the United States and has been the world's largest investor in the United States for 5 consecutive years. Also, with the inauguration of President Trump, the momentum for Japanese companies to invest in the United States is growing even stronger. Today, I conveyed my willingness to cooperate together to elevate Japan's investment in the United States to an unprecedented amount of $1 trillion. President Trump and myself also concurred to elevate the Japan-US partnership to an even higher level through improving business environment and increasing bilateral investment and employment, strengthening each other's industries, leading the world in developing advanced technologies such as AI and leading-edge semiconductors, and strongly promoting efforts to harness the energy of the growing market in the Indo-Pacific region. We also confirmed that we will cooperate to strengthen energy security between the two countries, including increasing exports of United States liquefied natural gas to Japan in a mutually beneficial manner. Regarding foreign exchange, as in the first Trump administration, close discussions will continue between Japanese and the U.S. finance ministers who are experts in this field.
We also held candid discussions on challenges the Indo-Pacific region is facing. We confirmed that we are resolved not to allow unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion, and to oppose such attempts in the East and South China Seas in order to fully defend a free and open Indo-Pacific. We also reiterated the importance of peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. Regarding North Korea, we affirmed the need to address its nuclear and missile program, which poses a serious threat to Japan, the US, and beyond. and that Japan and the U.S. will work together toward the complete denuclearization of North Korea. As the abductees and their families continue to age, I conveyed my strong sense of urgency and determination directly to President Trump and gained his renewed strong support for the immediate resolution of the abductions issue. While this was my first face-to-face meeting with President Trump, we were able to openly and frankly exchange views, and our meeting turned out to be very productive and meaningful. As a result of today's meeting, which marked a new departure for the Japan-U.S. relations, we are issuing a Japan-U.S. Joint Leader Statement. This document will serve as a compass for further cooperation between our two countries. On the basis of these deliverables, I look forward to working together with President Trump, who I respect immensely, to usher in a new golden age of Japan-U.S. relations. I look forward to welcoming you to Japan. And I'm very excited about that prospect. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions, please? Peter?
President Trump, I have two on Doge. Elon Musk said today, I love Donald Trump as much as a straight man can love another man. What does the First Lady think about that?
Oh, I think she'll be okay with it somehow.
So, Democratic lawmakers are really upset that Doge engineers have access to these Treasury payment systems. The Senate Intel tenants wrote a letter to Susie Wiles. They're saying that these systems are used to disperse trillions of dollars each year and contain everyday Americans' personal information like social security numbers, home addresses, bank accounts. Why does Doge need all of that?
Well, it doesn't, but they get it very easily. I mean, we don't have very good security in our country, and they get it very easily. And what we're doing, if you look at what has just taken place with respect to some of the investments that have been made on another agency that people have been talking about for years, but nobody did anything about it, it's absolutely obscene, dangerous, bad, very costly. I mean, virtually every investment made is a con job. There's nothing of value to anybody unless there's a kickback scheme going on, which is possible. And we're going to be doing more and more of that. We're going to be looking at Department of Education. We're going to be looking at even our military. We're going to be looking at tremendous amounts of money, Peter, being spent on things that bear no relationship to anything and have no value. We're talking about trillions of dollars. It will be, in the end, trillions of dollars being absolutely wasted, and perhaps illegally. I would say certainly in many cases illegally, but perhaps illegally overall. And I'm very proud of the job that this group of young people, generally young people, but very smart people, they're doing. They're doing it at my insistence. It would be a lot easier not to do it, but we have to take some of these things apart to find the corruption, and we found tremendous corruption.
You mentioned the Department of Education. What do you think you saw Democratic lawmakers trying to get into the Department of Education earlier today?
Oh, I see the same ones. I see Maxine Waters, a lowlife. I see, you know, all these people. They don't love our country. They don't love our country. We want great education. So they rank 40 countries in education. We're ranked dead last, dead last. But the good news is we're number one in one category. You know what that is? Cost per pupil. We spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. You look at Norway, Denmark, Sweden, various countries all up and down, Finland. China does very well in education. And then you look at us. We spend much more money than they do per pupil or any other way. But we spend much more money than they do, and yet we're ranked this year, Biden's last year, congratulations, Joe, we're ranked dead last. So what I want to see is education. Number one, I like choice. We all like choice. But beyond choice, long beyond choice, I want to see it go back to the states where great states that do so well have no debt. They're operated brilliantly. They'll be as good as Norway or Denmark or Sweden or any of the other highly ranked countries. They'll be, you probably have 30, I figure 35 to 38 states will be right at the top. and the rest will come along. They'll have to come along competitively. And by the way, we'll be spending a lot less money, and we'll have great education.
As part of this Doge cost-cutting effort, one of the Doge engineers was fired for some inappropriate posts. The vice president says, bring him back. What do you say?
Well, I don't know about the particular thing, but if the vice president said that, did you say that? I'm with the vice president. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, go ahead, please. Yes, red dress.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Just how strong do you want Japan's military to be? And do you specifically hope that their increased military spending will deter China and North Korea? What did you talk about that today?
Well, I want our military to be the strongest. I also don't mind spending so much money on the military because we build it here. It's made in the USA, all made in the USA. We have, I rebuilt our military during my first term. Did a great job. We left some of it behind in Afghanistan, stupidly. There was no reason for that, but it was still as much as it was. It was billions and billions of dollars, but it was a small part of it. But we're going to have the strongest military by far. We have great people. I want to congratulate Pete Hegseth for having gone through the gauntlet. He went through a lot, but he got through, and he's going to be a tremendous, I have no doubt he's going to be a tremendous leader. And other of the leaders sitting here, they're in their own fields. We're going to do something very, very, very great, and we expect great things. But I expect the strongest military by far in the world, far stronger than far stronger than anybody, and that's the way it is. Thank you very much. Would you like to ask a question, please? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
This is Hiramoto from Nippon Television. My question, let me ask two quick questions.
Sure.
First, this is the first meeting between Mr. President and Prime Minister Ishiba. So what kind of impression do you have on him? And number two, do you have an idea or do you have a plan to impose tariff against Japan so far? Thank you.
I think that he is going to be a great prime minister. I think he's a very strong man, very, very strong. I have great respect for him. I've known him for a long time through a reputation. Shinzo Abe thought the world of him, and I think he's going to do a fantastic job as prime minister. A very strong person. I wish he wasn't so strong. I wish he was a little bit weaker than that, but that's what I got. I have to get strong guys all the time. He's going to be a great prime minister. I also, in terms of tariffs, I mean, we're going to have tariffs, mostly reciprocal tariffs, where we go with, and I'm going to be probably meeting on that Monday or Tuesday, have an announcement, probably a news conference, but probably reciprocal tariffs where a country pays so much or charges us so much, and we do the same. So very reciprocal, because I think that's the only fair way to do it. That way, nobody's hurt. They charge us, we charge them. It's the same thing. And I seem to be going in that line as opposed to a flat fee tariff. Okay? Yes, go, please. Please, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead?
This is Ota from Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper. I have a question for Prime Minister Ishiba. So this is your very first summit meeting. What was your impression of President Trump? Were you able to build a good relationship of trust and confidence? In Northeast Asia, there are many challenges, China, North Korea, and so forth. And with President Trump, what did you appeal to him, and what kind of understanding were you able to obtain? On the economic field, there is the acquisition of U.S. Steel, the buy Nippon Steel, and there are expansion of import of LNG. What were the communication discussion did you have with President Trump for the $1 trillion of investment from Japan to investment? What was his reaction? What about your communication on tariff front? This is the first time that I met with President Trump in person. So this was the first time meeting face-to-face. But for many, many years, I have watched him on television. So it was quite exciting. I was so excited to see such a celebrity on television, to see in person. On television, he is frightening, and he has the very strong personality. But when I met with him, actually, he was very sincere and very powerful and with strong will for the United States as for the whole world. I was able to feel that. This is not the sort of polishing or trying to suck up to him. For the world peace and for the regional stability that both of our countries need to play our role and make our endeavors and responsibility. As for the increase of our defense expenditures, it is not that we are told by the United States to do so. Japan, on our own decision and on our own responsibility, we need to increase our defense expenditures. But of course, we need to communicate and consult with the United States. But the responsibility is with Japan, and the decision is with Japan. Now, on the tariffs, that if it is mutually beneficial, tariffs need to be set. And as for Japan, as Mr. President has introduced to us, an unprecedented investment will be made from Japan to the United States, and so many jobs will be created. So $1 trillion is the target. And this will be to the benefit of the United States, but also to the benefit of Japan as well. Investment is mutually beneficial. So be it with U.S. Steel, as Mr. President says, it is not acquisition, it is investment. So the Japanese technology will be provided, and the better quality products will be manufactured in the United States, and the U.S. Steel will make products which will contribute not only to the United States and Japan, but also to the whole world. It is not one-sided. It will be reciprocal. It will be mutually beneficial. And I believe we were able to share on this, and that is the biggest result that I have seen today.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that U.S. Steel deal. So you're saying that is this a restructuring of the deal that's happening, and then will you approve?
They're doing it as an investment, no longer a purchase.
Okay.
I didn't want it purchased, but investment I love. And they're going to do a big investment, subject to getting the deal done.
And that's
they'll be
something
doing
you
a
would
big.
approve? Where the US,
I'm okay with that, sure.
And for the Prime Minister, what was your argument to the President related to U.S. Steel? And one more on tariffs, Mr. President, if I could. You said on tariffs that you'd like them to be reciprocal, back and forth. What was the reception from the Japanese Prime Minister when you said that, or when you talked
Well,
about
we didn't discuss tariffs too much. We really discussed many other things, including the pipeline in Alaska, which I think is going to be maybe the most exciting thing with Doug and Chris. We discussed that at length, the pipeline. I mean, it seemed to be of great interest to them. It's, we have potentially more oil and gas than in Saudi Arabia, just in Alaska. We have the most of any country in the world. It's a big asset for the United States, but we haven't used it. We go to Venezuela, we go to other places to take oil and gas, and we have more than anybody. It's an amazing phenomenon that took place over the last 4 years. Nobody understands it, including the people that were in charge of it. They had no clue what they were doing. So it was a big problem. They were surprised actually too. They were saying why didn't they wouldn't sell them LNG. They wouldn't sell it. Japan wanted to buy LNG, and Biden wouldn't sell it. And I'm trying to figure that one out. Maybe it was the environment. You might answer that question. He's curious about that himself, I think. Thank you very much. If you want to answer that, you may, about LNG, that the United States wouldn't sell you LNG.
That was a really unfortunate thing, but the previous administration was not allowing the LNG to be exported to us. I believe that President Trump, on the day of his inauguration, allowed us to resume this importing. I think this is something that is really wonderful for us. And as the country of Japan, we are interested in importing not just LNG, but also bioethanol, ammonia, and other resources at a stable price, a reasonable price from the United States. And we also want to improve the trade deficit that the U.S. has towards Japan. So if we are able to buy those at a stable and reasonable price, I think it would be a wonderful situation. And for that, I am very appreciative to President Trump. And we also look forward to LNG and hope that it's a success.
I want to just say that on the ethanol, Iowa is going to be very happy. All of the Nebraska, all of our farm states are going to be very happy. They want ethanol, and we'll be able to provide it. So our farmers, who I like and they like me, I think they're going to be very, very happy. We've opened the sale of LNG immediately. Actually, we did it a few days ago. And China, right now, not only China, everybody wants to buy it. We have more than anybody, and they're all buying it. But Japan in particular, we're very happy that they're going to start immediately. And we can supply it to the world, but we're supplying it to Japan, and they can always be right up in the front of the line. Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Mr. Prime Minister, I have a question for you as well, but Mr. President, I'll start with you. Well, quickly to follow up on what Peter was asking, have you directed Elon Musk to review Pentagon spending, given it's the biggest discretionary spending
Yes,
in the
I have
federal
Pentagon,
budget?
education, just about everything. We're going to go through everything, just as it was so bad with what we just went through with this horrible situation we just went through, and I guess 97% of the people have been dismissed. It was very, very unfortunate. You're not going to find anything like that, but you're going to find a lot, and I've instructed him to go check out education, to check out the Pentagon, which is the military, and sadly you'll find some things that are pretty bad, but I don't think proportionally you're going to see anything like we just saw.
And your FBI has turned over a list to the Justice Department of the FBI agents who worked on the January 6 rioters cases. Are you planning to fire the FBI agents who worked on those investigations?
No, but I'll fire some of them because some of them were corrupt. I have no doubt about that. I got to know a lot about that business, that world. I got to know a lot about that world, and we had some corrupt agents, and those people are gone, or they will be gone, and it'll be done quickly and very surgically.
Are those the ones who worked on the January
Did you have a question for the Prime Minister?
Just to clarify, are those the ones who worked on the January 6th investigation?
Talk up.
Are those the ones who worked on the January 6th investigation?
I don't know. I know we have some that are very corrupt, and we don't like it. We're going to bring back the reputation of the FBI. Kash Patel is going to do a great job, and we're going to bring back the reputation of the FBI, which has been hurt very badly. It's been devastated over the last 4 years.
Mr. Prime Minister, you have just been meeting for the first time with President Trump. The last administration famously did not have hardly any, if at all, contact with North Korea. President Trump certainly did the last time he was in office. Would you like to see him resume that contact and also that in-person meeting that he had with the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un?
That is something that the United States needs to determine on its own, and it's not something that we should request. Having said that, but for example, in Vietnam or Singapore, the President of the United States, President Trump was able to meet with Kim Jong-un. I think that's a very positive development. So now that President Trump is in power again, if we are able to move towards resolving issues with the North Korea, I think it would be great. And of course, for us, that includes not only denuclearization, but also resolving the abductee issue. And so not only the victims of the abductees, but also their families too are aging, and so our time is limited. So if the President of the United States, if President Trump is able to resolve this issue, we do understand that it's a Japan issue first and foremost. Having said that, we would love to continue to cooperate with them.
It's actually a good question, and we will have relations with North Korea, with Kim Jong-un. I got along with him very well, as you know. I think I stopped the war. I think if I wouldn't have won that particular election, you would have ended up in a very bad situation. But I did, and we had a good relationship, and I think it's a very big asset for everybody that I do get along with him. I get along with him, he gets along with me, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And I can tell you that Japan likes the idea because their relationship is not very good with him. And if I can have a relationship with not only him, but other people throughout the world where there seem to be difficulties, I think that's a tremendous asset for the world, not just the United States. Go ahead.
I have a question for you and for the Prime Minister as well. Mr. President, I wonder what you make of the criticism from Democrats that these staff reductions, the cuts that Elon Musk and Doge are doing are an unlawful power grab. And is there anything you've told Elon Musk he cannot touch?
Well, we haven't discussed that much. I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people. Very capable. They know what they're doing. They'll ask questions, and they'll see immediately as somebody gets tongue-tied that they're either crooked or don't know what they're doing. We have very smart people going in. So I've instructed him go into education, go into military, go into other things as we go along. And they're finding massive amounts of fraud, abuse, waste, all of these things. So, but I will pick out a target and I say go in. There could be areas that we won't, but I think everything's fertile. You know, we're a government. We have to be open. And as an open government, I don't know, I guess you could say maybe some high intelligence or something. And I'll do that myself if I have to. But generally speaking, I'll just say go. But he will be looking at education pretty quickly, and he will be looking at military too.
As you know, the bulk of federal spending is Social Security, Medicare, programs like that. Would you like to see him look at those programs as well?
Well, they don't really have to be looked at by him. They can be looked at by us. Social Security will not be touched. It'll only be strengthened. We have illegal immigrants on Social Security, and we're going to find out who they are and take them out. We have illegal immigrants in other Medicare. We found a lot of bad people, a lot of people that shouldn't be on, that were put on through California. A lot of them come out of California. We're not going to stand for that. So we're going to strengthen our Social Security, et cetera. We're not going to touch it other than to make it stronger. But we have people that shouldn't be on, and those people we have to weed out. Most of them, or many of them so far, have been illegal immigrants. They shouldn't even be in the country. Do you have a question for the Prime Minister?
I do. Mr. Prime Minister, the President's affinity for tariffs is well known. If the U.S. places tariffs on Japanese imports, would Japan retaliate?
Unable to respond to a theoretical question. That's the official answer that we have.
That's a very good answer. Very good answer. Wow. That's very good. He knows what he's doing. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so we've been listening to a joint news conference with President Trump as he exits the East Room there in the White House, along with the Prime Minister of Japan. Several headlines have come out of this brief news conference, and we'll talk about those now with Jack Burnham. He's an expert on U.S. and Asia policy at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Jack, thank you for being with us. Thank you for sitting through that news conference with us. What's your big takeaway today?
Thank you so much for having me. I think my big takeaway today is really focused on the efforts between Japan and the United States to strengthen their alliance, and particularly as it relates to countering North Korea and China. As you heard, a lot of what was discussed was Japanese purchases of American weapons systems, Japanese military spending, which has been increasing significantly, and will likely rise to 2% of GDP by 2027, as well as U.S.-Japan economic ties. You heard conversations about investment. Japan is the largest source of foreign direct investment into the United States, is a huge part of the American economy, and has a lot of really strong ties across a lot of American energy, American leading technologies, and is really a strong and critical partner of the United States within the region.
Yeah, let's line item some of these things. U.S. Steel obviously was something that they discussed. There was talk that potentially take over U.S. Steel purchasing, but instead investing in. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think that obviously the situation with Nippon Steel and the takeover of U.S. Steel is clearly something that is under discussion within the administration. I would say that I think it's quite important to note that beyond the Nippon Steel, clearly the Japanese Prime Minister announcing a commitment to invest $1 trillion into the United States economy. Japan is a major investor, is a major source of jobs in innovation with the United States, and also in particular, a major purchaser of U.S. weapon systems that are made right here at home across the entire country.
Yeah, the Prime Minister said the largest investor in the United States 5 consecutive years in a row. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Japan is one of the United States' closest economic partners within the Indo-Pacific region, and is clearly will be a key strategy, a key partner of the Trump administration going forward, as well as it was a key partner for the first Trump administration, and it was under the Biden administration as well.
And we saw just a few weeks ago, the president of SoftBank was also at the White House and talked about, $100 to $200 billion investment in the United States. Let's talk about AI for a second, because that is another thing that the two world leaders discussed. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's very clear, as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, that AI is going to be a huge focus of the administration. We saw with the Chinese AI firm DeepSeek and its release of its latest model, and how that shook U.S. markets and really prompted a large discussion in the United States about U.S. AI policy and working with allies and partners. Japan is a key partner in American AI. SoftBank announced was part of that massive investment decision that was announced a few weeks ago, as investing in critical infrastructure to help deploy and scale AI across the country. And Japan is also a key part of the United States' global AI strategy. The United States has committed to ensuring that Japan has significant access to leading AI technologies developed in the United States. And the United States and Japan have worked really strongly together to ensure that China cannot access cutting-edge technologies that will allow it to integrate AI into its economy and, more importantly, into its military as well.
Let's hone in on LNG, liquid natural gas. The one thing that I noted here that the president said is he said that there was a $100 billion trade deficit with Japan right now, but he said most of that would be made up through LNG, the sale of liquid natural gas through Alaska, and not so much on tariffs. Walk us through that. First of all, why the Biden administration, in your opinion, did not allow the sale of LNG, and why the Trump administration would?
I think it's so the Biden. I can't necessarily speak to all that's going on within either administration. My guess would be that the Biden administration had some of the environmental concerns with LNG in mind, particularly in its sale, its decisions around its decision to sell or to restrict sales to certain Asian partners. Looking for the Trump administration, I would say that President Trump has been very focused on what he calls unleashing American energy. And in particular, when it comes to Japan, is the fact that this AI development, the development of the data centers that need to scale AI models, the energy needed to produce the semiconductors, things of that nature, really require a really steady, stable, low-cost source of energy. And clearly, Japan and the United States both view LNG as a way to ensure that energy stability that will then power some of these larger investments that both countries are putting into artificial intelligence and other leading technologies.
There was a lot made of potential tariffs. it seems the president has become synonymous with tariffs because when he mentions the mere thought of a tariff makes other world leaders come to the table. You think about what happened just in the past few weeks with Colombia, with Mexico, with Canada, ongoing conversations with China. But the Japanese prime minister took a different approach, and he says basically it's a theoretical question that I can't answer. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think as Trump correctly noted, I think it was a very clever answer. I think that the Japanese are being very shrewd. I think that their investment decisions will strengthen U.S.-Japan cooperation across a variety of different sectors. That's very important to both Tokyo and Washington. I think that tariffs are clearly a tool that the administration is interested in using. But I would also note that there are a lot of other tools that the administration is using as well to come to some consensus of some of the challenges that are facing both countries.
Talk to us about the challenges in Northeast Asia for Japan. North Korea, China come to mind. What are some of the issues that they face?
Of course. So I think it's no secret that China is the significant issue when it comes to Northeast Asia. The Chinese military is modernizing and being built up at a pace not seen since the Second World War. So when Japan looks at its strategic backyard, it sees a rapidly modernizing, rapidly growing Chinese military encroaching and pushing further into its backyard and causing a lot of alarm within Tokyo. And it's important to note, too, that the United States has forward deployed forces in Japan that would also theoretically be activated should a crisis occur. The second thing that you heard the two leaders discuss was around North Korea, obviously a perennial issue for the United States in the region. But in particular, North Korea has been far more aggressive in the past couple of months and years. The North Korean nuclear program has continued to expand. The rhetoric coming out of the Kim regime has become more bellicose over time. Just a few weeks ago, North Korea tested theoretically nuclear capable cruise missile. So clearly, both of those issues are really weighing heavily on the minds of both leaders.
You know, just so you know, our viewers at home, we're waiting for our political director, our chief White House correspondent, Lindsay Keith, was in the East Room listening to the press conference. She'll join us for her thoughts in a minute. But continuing our conversation now with Jack Burnham. Jack, one thing that struck me was when both sides asked each other, asked President Trump and the Japanese Prime Minister what they thought of their initial meeting of one another, and the Prime Minister Ishiba said that he was excited to meet someone he described as a TV celebrity. He says that I've seen him on TV and it seemed kind of frightening, very strong presence, but in reality he was very sincere, powerful, and has a strong will. Your thoughts on that? Just the idea that a world leader coming in, knowing our president as a TV celebrity, a frightening personality, but someone he walked away saying, you know what, this guy is sincere.
Yes, I think it's important to note that President Trump in his first term got along very well with former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And I think you saw the current Prime Minister of Japan really try to channel some of that energy into meeting Trump, that clearly Trump had an affinity for Prime Minister Abe, and that you really saw the new Prime Minister try to lean into that affinity in order to garner a really strong and bolster the U.S.-Japan relationship. So I think the personal ties are clearly something that is being leaned into. And I think overall that's a positive, certainly, for Japan-U.S. relations, to have a strong, personable relationship between those two leaders.
All right. Jack Burnham, we do appreciate the additional context that you were able to give us this afternoon. We want to turn now to our chief White House correspondent, our political director, Lindsay Keith. Lindsay, aside from talks of the $1 trillion investment that Japan is willing to make in our country, there was a lot of talk about Doge and what Elon Musk is up to, and Democrats clearly not happy about that.
Yeah, this was a big question from many members of the press, my colleagues there following the press conference, as there's been so much question swirling about how much authority Elon Musk actually has as a special government employee, which, as you know, is only allows them to work 130 days a year. And we expect that Elon Musk, as his own words, that this project is going to go up to July of 2026. And so that far exceeds it. But you heard the president there saying there's not much that he's put off limit from Elon Musk, and he thinks he's doing a good job. And he specifically put his next target actually on the Pentagon and also the Department of Education as well. We reported that earlier in the week, but saying that he's very pleased with what he's looking at and removing government waste there. So this will continue to be a huge conversation, as we've talked about again on our own show. It has brought many different legal cases and will continue to be a key story here in Washington.
You know, one thing that strikes me is the president has said that there are trillions, with a T, trillions of dollars wasted is what he thinks the kind of sum will eventually show us. But there are concerns that this team of folks who make up Doge, that they're coming across Social Security numbers, home addresses, cell phone numbers, things of that sort. And it seems to me that that's gaining the attention of a lot of people rather than the money aspect of it. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think there's a couple different aspects of this, Chris, as we look at how the government typically operates. And you have a person who has not sworn in or been elected, that has unlimited, it seems like, access to private information of American citizens. And so I think that there, is rightful concern there of many Americans to wonder what's going on. And this president has said that he's one of the most transparent presidencies and administrations in American history, but it feels like there's not a lot of transparency on some of the things that Elon Musk is doing. He was questioned earlier in the day if he would be willing to have Elon actually give a press conference and speak at the podium, and he said he would. So we hopefully will look forward to that in the coming days. But, I think this is the conversation that's being had. There are even Democrats who are open to cutting government waste, and we're on board with that. You even saw there was a subcommittee in Congress for Doge, which Democrats joined that, and they were excited about those prospects. It's the way that Elon Musk has gone about this and the power that Donald Trump has given him that has brought much into question here in D.C. as we look at how government operates and the authority of the executive branch. So I think that's a lot of the question that is swirling amongst so many Americans. And we're seeing this taking place at rapid pace, something we haven't seen. This is really unprecedented in American history, especially as we're just ending this third week of the administration here.
Yep, you're right. Lindsay Keith, our chief White House correspondent, was in the East Room for that joint news conference, as she always is. Thank you for that context, additional information for us this afternoon. We'll see you tonight for the news on Merit TV. For Lindsay Keith, I am Chris Gutierrez. We're going to send you back now to your regularly scheduled program right here on Dr. Phil's Merit TV. In a world that's flooded with noise, remember this: the truth doesn't always